Business planning process, this we have already seen in the earlier lecture. What is a business plan? This is an important topic you should understand. What is a business plan? It is a blueprint of the step-by-step procedure that would be followed in order to convert that business idea into a successful venture. This part we have already seen in the earlier lecture. Now, objectives also we have seen. Steps in preparing a business plan also we have seen. Next is feasibility study. This is also important. Feasibility study. What is this feasibility study? Now, it is conducted to find out the practical utility or the future prospects of a project. Just like we have already seen environmental scanning is done, SWOT analysis done. Similarly, feasibility study is conducted to understand whether this will be a successful venture or not. It gives more safety and security to the entrepreneur. And it also helps to avoid the possible failure after execution. Means it's conducted before to find out whether it will be viable or not. The basic purpose of conducting this study is to understand whether the project is technically, economically, financially, and managerially sound. So this is to be done in an impartial manner. Impartial means without any bias. But one thing you have to understand is that this is a very lengthy process. Conducting a feasibility study is a very lengthy process, hence step-by-step approach is adopted. This is done to understand whether the steps which are being taken by an entrepreneur is technically, economically, financially, and managerially sound enough so that the business will be moving ahead or not. And not only the company, even the banks also undertake the study. Financial institutions they undertake this study. They also, like, especially when they have to provide loans, when they have to provide financial support to different entrepreneurs and all, they also conduct this study because that will be helpful for them also to understand whether investing or providing funds to such areas will be worth of their money or not. So this is commonly used, or it is very we can say very useful in the case of large projects which needs huge financial investment, because without conducting any of this study and the entrepreneur is investing a lot of fund, maybe by borrowing or by borrowing from others, or by with partners investment, or even by borrowing from financial institutions and all, and if this is not working out, that will actually bring loss to the company. So before starting a business, it is always better to have a feasibility study. So I told you what is the basic purpose. Basic purpose is to understand whether this project, whether this particular entrepreneurial initiative is technically, economically, financially, and managerially sound. Then there are different areas where this study is conducted. We will be conducting the study like it can be conducted in different stages. I told you it's a very lengthy process. So various aspects are to be covered over here. Technical feasibility study is there, economic or market feasibility study, commercial or financial, and managerial. In technical feasibility study, everything like the location of the plant, the size of the organization, layout, the technology used, then all the basic requirements of the project is considered. Like where is this particular company going to be located, whether the location is apt for that, size of that business, layout means the structure of that business, technology which they are using, even basic utilities like water supply, fuel, then transportation availability, what are the different waste disposal mechanisms used there, everything is studied. Then in short, we can say all the technical details of that business is studied over here. And this is very important to understand because, for example, you see a business, they have a very good idea and they're starting a business, but the location in such a place that which is not easily accessible, or where there is no enough transportation facilities. So that itself can become a hindrance for the further movement of the business, for further running of the business. So technical study helps to look into all these matters. Then comes economic or market. This study begins with an estimate of the market demand. Again, this estimating this market demand and forecasting of the market demand may not be so easy, but still it should be done as accurately as possible, because we know that the success or the failure of a project depends on the market demand to a great extent. Demand available now and also demand available in the future. So also at the same time, we should also learn about the competitors over here, other substitutes available. What is substitutes? Other alternatives available for our product. Like if our product is not there in the market, which are the other products the customers will be switching to? Then this study is something which is very complicated, and conducting this study also becomes quite difficult. To understand the market demand every time may not be easy, but still this also helps to get a knowledge about whether the business will be successful if started. Then commercial or financial feasibility study. It is concerned with the financial aspect of the company, like the profitability of the company, the cost involved, the budgetary requirements of the company, cost estimates, the revenue which they are expecting, working capital requirements, fixed capital requirements, availability of funds, from where the funds can be raised and all. So this study helps to understand the commercial viability, like how much if we invest, whether we will be able to reap the benefits out of it, those things. Then managerial feasibility study. This is concerned with the human resource part over here. Like even if the project is technically good, economically good, commercially, financially good and all, if there is no proper leadership in the company, then we will not be able to take the company ahead. So it is very important that efficient management should be there in the proposed project. Like managerial competence is also equally required in this case. Managerial competence means especially when it comes to decision making and all, there should be a competent authority who can take important decisions in the organizations. So these are the different areas of feasibility study. Feasibility study, what is feasibility study? We'll see it once again. Feasibility studies is conducted to find out the practical utility of the company or the future prospects of a project. We are not starting a company only for a day or 1 day or 2 days or even like 1 week, 1 year and all. Investing in a company, starting a company is a long-term process. So we should see that each and every aspect is thoroughly checked and analyzed. Then a feasibility report. Now this is a document prepared after completing different types of feasibility studies. It is prepared by the sponsors or the entrepreneurs or even by the lending agencies. Lending agencies means it could be the banks or the financial or any other financial institutions. And this is prepared for knowing or about the feasibility analysis for the safety of their funds. It is prepared after the project report. It gives full analysis and output covering all the information which the producers or the entrepreneurs can take final decisions. So everything, all the details will be mentioned over here. It may even suggest certain modifications in the proposed project. And when modifications are suggested in this report, it is better to always modify the project in the light of such suggestions which is given over there. And it is very much useful for improving the proposed project, and it makes the project much more better, much more safe and promising. So a feasibility report is a document which is containing all the information about the feasibility study which was conducted prior to that. Then another thing which you have to remember here is project appraisal. Project appraisal means assessing the project. In HR, in management, in companies, we hear about HR appraisal. Means we are going to assess the performance of the employees. And based on that, the increment and other things will be decided. Same way, here, project appraisal means the assessment of the project. A study about the project in terms of its economic, social and financial viability helps to compare and decide on various projects. also helps in reshaping the project. Like here, the cost and benefit analysis of the proposed project is done, and the decision maker or the entrepreneur, whoever it is, they will do a comparative study of various projects. This is done in order to decide whether this particular project will be viable or not. So while appraising a project or while assessing a project, many factors are considered, like technical, just like what we have seen in feasibility, the project appraisal, technical study is conducted, financial study is conducted, each and everything is conducted. So this is also multi-dimensional nature. We can say it's a complete scanning of the project. Here also, banks and other financial institutions are involved. So that if in case they are investing their funds, they also insist upon conducting a project appraisal. Then here various aspects of project appraisal is very much similar to the earlier one. Economic aspects, organizational, managerial, technical, financial, market or commercial. Economic analysis from the point of view of the whole economy, whether this will show benefits rather than just cost for the company. Like whether this particular project will be bringing increased output, whether it is like increased or enhanced services to the society, increased employment to the society, higher earnings, higher standard of living for the people, contribution to national income, all these things, whether this particular project will give out or not. Organization aspects means concerned with the organization as a whole. Like we can say that how these organizations or the employees involved in that work together for getting the business successful. Same way, managerial aspects. Any good project can fail if the managerial part is not successful or the management side is incompetent. If the promoters are weak and if they are not able to understand the situation in the market, then it becomes difficult to take the project ahead. Then technical aspects, what same thing what we have seen earlier, location, size, type of operations, all those things. Here everything will be coming, like as I told you, water supply, fuel supply, power supply, the basic requirements, the availability of raw materials, transportation facilities, all these things are coming under technical appraisal. Then financial appraisal, long term, one should conduct this financial appraisal to understand whether it is beneficial cost wise, pricing of the product which they are going to decide, financing, expenditure, income, where they are going to get income, all these things. Then market and commercial, identifying markets, identifying the competitors in the market, finding out the opportunities in the market, and having a successful marketing plan. So all these things are part of project appraisal. Now, another very easy topic, but again very important, risk involved in the business. What is risk first? Risk means the possibility of losing some or all of the original investment. We always hear this term. Every business involves risk, isn't it? Each and every business is has one or the other type of risk, and an entrepreneur is a risk bearer. That also we have seen initially. Means that entrepreneur is ready to take the risk. That is why he is determined to start a business. So risk is involved in every business. So different types of risks are there. Okay, many companies allocate large amount of funds so that this will help to overcome this will help to do the risk assessment and overcome many risks over here. Now, we also know that the greater the amount of risk, the greater will be the investment, greater will be the potential return to the company. And we will see here some different types of risk. Risk involves business risk, systematic risk, and systematic risk also. Business risk means, as a common one, like we can say that possibility that the company is having lower profit despite what they had expected or what they had anticipated. Then it is involved by various factors also. I mean, it is influenced by various factors like the sales in the market, price of the product, the cost involved, competition involved, government regulations involved. All this will affect the business risk. Then there is systematic risk. Systematic risk is which is affecting the entire market. entire market. Then there is unsystematic risk, which is inherent in each industry or in each company. Please read this, everyone. So when we are talking about systematic risk and unsystematic risk, understand both are different. Systematic risk is market involved. Like each and every company is facing that risk. Like it could be recession in the market, then which is there commonly throughout the market. Recession, then we can say some government regulations which are affecting everyone like that. But unsystematic risk is particular to one particular industry. Maybe, for example, textile industry means only that textile companies will be facing that risk. Then we can also say that company, it could also be company specific, not necessary to only to be only industry. It can be company specific also. Like for example, strike in a company by the employees, that is unsystematic risk. Okay, then now this risk can be divided as direct and non-direct risk. Okay, here we will see again. What you have to remember is that it is inherent in every business. It can be internal and external. There are different types of risk. Some of the different types only we are discussing over here. Like it could be anything which can have a major impact on our business. So commonly we are identifying two types of risk. One is direct and the other one is indirect or non-direct, we can see. Direct risk are like natural disasters, which cannot be expected at all, which is directly affecting our company, like floods, storms, etc. Legal risk, like for example, insurance issues, then licensing issues, then non-compliance, means not following the government regulations, such things. Global events like what we have seen now, like pandemic, then any such kind of regulations at an international level. Technology means computer related issues like computer failure, and even when you are working with outdated technology, those things. Environmental issues means related to the environment like climate change, or we can say pollution, chemical spills, those things. Workplace health and safety means the accidents and all which can occur in the workplace, especially when the employees are not safeguarded, like employees are not given all the safety equipments. Like there are various safety equipments which are supposed to be given to the employees, especially when they are working in hazardous jobs and all, like helmet, gloves, goggles and all. Then economic and financial risk, global finance, it could be global as well as domestic, national level, cash flow shortages, customers problems, customer trends, those things. Staffing issues related to the IR, industrial relations, human shortage of good employees, skilled employees, then conflicts in the organization, problems in the organization between the staff, those things. Market means problem with the market with respect to supply chain problems, with respect to procuring of raw materials, problem with the suppliers, problem with the entire distribution chain, those things. Then there is security like theft in the business, then any kind of fraud which is happening in the business, then online security and fraud is very common. So these are all directly affecting the company. At the same time, there are certain indirect risk also. Indirect risk can happen when your suppliers are affected, and that is not your issue. That is when your suppliers are affected and you're not getting the raw materials on time. Then another thing is that if the location where your plant or factory is situated, and due to some or the other reason you are not able to do the business over there, which is not because of your issue. Maybe the government is, maybe just one example I'll tell you, government is planning to widen the road, okay, expanding the road, and your particular location, your particular plan is to be shifted from there. That is indirect risk. So There means not because of the reason for the company. Then risk management. It is the process of identifying, assessing risk and developing strategies to manage risk. Definitely we should understand that we cannot avoid risk at all in any type of business, but we can try to reduce its impact. Risk management can occur anytime when an investor or the entrepreneur tries to understand the quantity of the risk, quantity of the issues that are happening due to this risk. So, and they will be taking various decisions on how to minimize this risk. So, they are expecting that these different types of risk can happen in the business and how we can overcome that. So, we can see that these are the some of these steps involved over here. Preparing a risk management plan, identifying the risk, that is very important. Identifying the risk, like when, where, how the risks can be or they are likely to happen. Are they internal or external? Who might be involved over here if something like that happens? Like that, we have to try to identify. Then again, you think what happens, what will happen if today there is no power supply in the company? What will happen if the key documents in the company is destroyed? What will happen when one of your best experienced staff is leaving the organization, or when you're not getting raw materials on time? So these are all risks for the business. These are all challenges for the business, maybe as I told you, directly or indirectly. So this identifying risk is very important. Then analyzing and evaluating the impact of risk. Like some risk can happen every time. Every time means more than once a year it can happen, or there are some risk like which will happen once in a year in the industry, or maybe once only, happened only once till now. And then we will have to evaluate the description. Description means what are the loss, quantify the loss involved during this period. Like sometimes the losses will be, financial losses will be greater than 1 lakh, sometimes between 50,000 1 lakh, that we have to evaluate. Then treat the risk to your business. Treating risk means accept that every company will be involving risk and try to find out ways in order to overcome that. Then review and update the risk management plan, conduct a business impact analysis. Because as I told you, this cannot be avoided. Instead, we should try to find out the reasons. We can only try to reduce the impact of the risk. For that, we should be prepared, or we can prepared for the risk. We should be taking steps to prevent the risk if possible, then respond to the risk and recovery from the risk. We should try to, like, we cannot always say that the suppliers are not giving materials on time. That is a risk involved. Suppliers not delivering the raw materials on time. Now we cannot every time, we cannot still simply sit and say that okay, sit and hear from them that again this month also the supply will be delayed. That is affecting our business. So we should be trying to respond to it. How to respond? Either we can go for another supplier, go for another, what we can say, another source of supplier or alternative source of suppliers, we can say. Like that, we should be ready to respond to the risk. So getting prepared for the risk, trying to prevent the risk if possible, then responding to the risk. In this way, the companies to an extent can be involved in risk management process by trying to understanding what all different types of risk can emerge in their company, what all different challenges they will have to face in their organization.